In this video, I'm going to teach you 10 of the most common mistakes I see across the mountain. When olling, you need to go and load up weight onto your back foot and pop off it. But you can't only load weight onto your back foot. If you load weight on the back foot and just leave off it, it's going to make you land tail heavy. This is why we want to combine it with a pump motion like you would be doing over a roller, trying to go and pump through. So when you're doing an ollie, it's like this. Shift your weight slightly to your front foot, not enough that you start going into a nose press, but just enough that you're having your weight slightly centered over that front foot. From there, we want to go and shift the weight over to our back foot and pop off at tail. And as you're extending off your tail, that's when you rock your upper body forward back into the landing. So it really looks just like a complete rock. Coming in, coming off the tail, and rocking forward. If you're missing your body pulling back to neutral, you're gonna land tail heavy every time. The most common mistake I see when jumping is people going and using too much bend in their legs, and this is making it so they can't go and get their legs fully up when they're exploding. A super bent down position is going to make it really hard to generate power for your legs and go and push off a lip. What you want to be doing is keeping your body a lot straighter, a lot taller, using your athletic stance. This stance is what goes and gives you the ability to get up, get power with pushing off the jump. This position is too much energy to go and lift out of. That's why we want this little slight bend in our legs, but gives us a more useful range of motion. You have to get way more strength out of your snowboard by this only slight bend. So when you're jumping the slope, make sure that you're not going and fully squatting down. Lift yourself up and make sure that you're leaving out of that athletic stance. That's going to give you so much more control and power on every pop. When snowboarding, you want a little bit of edge pressure to help you grip the snow. But if you try to go and pop off into a jump with too much edge pressure, it's going to angle you. So if I get onto my heels and try to pop off, it's going to kick my legs out. Toes and try to pop off, it's going to make me drip and get erratic. That's why we want to go and move ourselves to a more neutral position as we go and pop. So you start with that little bit of edge pressure, and as you go and get more extended, that's when you go and striking it off, making it so you're leaving flat base. By keeping your base flat as you drive power through it, more weight will be distributed through your snowboard evenly, giving you more vertical up and down power. This is really true for spins. If you try to spin off a big toe edge, it's going to go and buck you. But if you let yourself go and get flat base as you take off, it's going to be putting your momentum straight back into the air. So whenever you're spinning, make sure that you're coming and flattening up to a more flat base axis while popping, and that'll give you more efficient energy straight up. The most common mistake I see on turning is heel side chatter and toe side chatter. This happens because people are trying to go and traverse to their edge before they go and shift for momentum. If you go and try turn this way, but immediately turn this way, and then immediately turn this way, you're not going to have enough traction to hold your edge. How turning works is a lot like a car. The more traction you have, the deeper you can hold the turn, and the more pressure you can start loading into it. So on a day like today where the snow quality is trash and you don't have much traction, it's really important to space out these turns. So instead of going straight toes to heels, I'm going to go toes, flat base, load up, then heels. Toe edge, then I load weight, then I lessen that weight, flat base, edge, load up. Flat base, edge, load up. And by going and slowing down your turn radius, more power, but more controlled. Big thing holding people back is moving their body too connected. So if we're trying to do a turn, we're trying to turn with our whole body at once. And when you turn with your whole body at once, you actually lose all the fundamental principles you can use on a snowboard in order to build traction. That's why we want to actually lead with our upper body, fall with our legs, and use our body sort of like a slinky, one part flowing into the other. And this is what's going to give us more control, more power, more movements. We're going and trying to keep everything independent, but working together. Building momentum, building fluidity through every single turn. And this is how you can go and start getting loose, fast, and explosive movements. This is especially true for spinning. If you try to do the trick, rotating everything at once, it's going to be very hard to get everything around. And you're not going to be building momentum. What you want to be doing is letting your upper body build momentum and then popping up as you're hitting that maximum point. So for back one, I'm not just trying to rotate everything at once. Instead, I'm leading with upper body, falling with the legs, and then landing. That's gonna be the disconnect and control needed on every turn and every spin. One of the most fun things you can do on a snowboard is putting a grab, but a big problem I see is people reaching for the grab too soon. This goes and cuts their range of motion short, making it so we don't get much puff, and we're going and not getting control over the jump. What you want to be doing is getting your full extension, then grabbing, and then controlling. So it's a 3-step process. But pop, but grab, but tweak. So if we're here, we're popping, then grabbing. If you try to rush a grab on something like a spin, it's going to be even more detrimental. So like here, if I try to grab too soon, it's going to put me through the jump because I don't get that pull in motion. So again, we want to do that 3-step process. But pop, but grab, then but tweak. And by going and splitting up our tricks into this, we'll get so much more control and so much more power on every jump. When riding, I see people doing a lot too much. So if we're trying to do a tail press, we're trying to really push everything to that tail. But really, you're trying to keep yourself relatively stacked and over a point. If you're popping, you're not trying to fully extend, trying to fully push off the lift. Instead, you're trying to use a tactile range of motion that gives you control and tension to the fork. By actively staying in your controlled motion, you're able to go and get up, get so much more control when snowboarding than you ever could if you're going and extending. If I'm trying to do things like a butter and I'm popping up too straight, pulling is going to throw me off. So that's why I want to stay in my comfortable range of motion, pop up, and this is going to be what lets me get all nice and fun with my snowboard. Just trying to use that effective range of motion that works on every feature and every trick. One of the biggest mistakes in all of snowboarding is going and breaking at the waist and trying to go and disconnect it and hinge at the hips. The reason why this is problematic is it makes you really top heavy, and the more top heavy you are, the harder it is to go and put weight into your snowboard. That's why we don't want to be bending over like we're catching our toes. Instead, you want to be strong in the pour, put us in a strong position where we can go and load an edge and hold this position through. So here, I'm in a position with a little bit of bend, but I can go and fluctuate and pull in. And that's giving me the control to go and pop and really thread my snowboard. But as soon as I go and start hinging forward, I'm not going to have that control and that range of motion to go and really sit down. That's why I do pretty sketchy. So when you're riding, make sure that if you go and squat down, you're not getting lower by going and bending forward, and instead, you're bringing your legs down and your upper body down in correlation. And it's this correlation that gives you fluent power that's driven directly over your board, giving you the control you need to tread the mountain. Every spin in snowboarding relies on something called the setup carve to be the base of a trick. The biggest issue I see in snowboarding is people going and getting on their edge too soon, and this is making it so they leave the rotation. If I get on my keel edge and hold it, it's going to make me spin off the jump, and that's going to make it so I pop off without much control. If I just get on my toe edge too soon, I'm going to drift and not get that control. So the most important thing when doing your setup carve is patience. The longer you hold a wound up position, the more it's going to make you cut across and make your chest open, and this is how you get that gnarly drip and lack of control. So we want to go and delay our setup carve to the spoon of the jump. Toes, 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 spoon, heels, and that lets us fully pop up. Here, you want to go fully to the spoon, pop up as late as possible. The more you delay your setup carve, the easier it is. So here, coming up, getting on the heels, and then popping up, and this lets me fully utilize my range of motion, making it so I can get more power with less crease spin, getting cleaner jumps every time. And that is 10 common mistakes you want to avoid at all costs. Let me know in the comments below if you're making any of these mistakes, and if you're ready to go and fix them and improve your riding. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.